Good evening, Tracy. Welcome back. I'm your host, Raj Singh. I have a co-host, Gurtej, to follow along with me. And today we are here not with any political candidate, but somebody who's very officially elected from last 2 years to introduce her, get to know from her, and learn something. So today's show is being a council member with Veronica Vargas. And before I take much more time, I would like to give time to Gurtej to introduce our guest today and walk us through today's scenario.
Thank you very much, Raj. So, as Raj has mentioned, so today we'll have an opportunity to listen from a well-versed, experienced councilwoman. So, she is a councilwoman in City of Tracy from last 2014. So, she is very much involved in all the communities across the City of Tracy. So, she, as profession-wise, so she is a construction manager, so she's a town planner. She knows in and outs aspects of planning, it small to bigger aspect of the construction site. So very much involved in the Valley Link as well as in women leadership roles. So now I'll request Veronica Vargas to please share some more about herself.
Well, thank you for the intro. um, and it's my pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me over you guys' show. And I look forward to just chatting with both of you.
Thank you, Veronica. It's our honor as well to share this platform with you. And as I said, today's session is not anything for the candidacy or anything political. It's more, I would say, educating, learning, understanding what it means to be a council member. So, like Gurtej said, you are not one-time elected official. You're actually two times elected official and serving your second term as a council member of City of Tracy. And you are carrying such a great credentials along with you, which I believe are very beneficial to be serving in this role. So, kind of moving into that aspect of our discussion, I think the first thing I would like to start off with what it means to be a council member and what kind of key responsibilities and roles that you're sitting in. So, kind of help us understand and share with us.
We'll love to. So, council member for me means that you are a policymaker. You're making policy, which is the one and the most important function that you play as a council member. We also work on developing plans for our city, and we give direction to staff to implement the vision of the plan as a council as a whole. Council members do act as a representative of the residents, and we represent the residents and vice versa when we are in council. So council members do serve, as you mentioned, in different roles, sometimes state levels, in commissions, county, regional boards, and other appointed obligations that as a whole the city and the council has. There are a lot of responsibilities to fulfill as a group, and we share it among all of us. And sometimes we have teammates in those commissions and council. And as you mentioned, Raj, I am in my last term, and I feel now as a senior council member, not because I'm older, but just senior. It is my responsibility and my obligation to pass along the knowledge to the next generation of council members. I am seeking to kind of pass the torch to the next group and help them. Just helping the next generation to catch up so they can hit the floor running. It will be very important for us to stay for the next 2 to 4 years on council.
Thank you, Veronica. I think it is a very imperative what you just said, and it's really important to understand as well what it means to transfer the knowledge, because sitting in this office, right, it has so much moving pieces that you're working with. Like you said, you're in different commissions, you're in different boards, And that is just very, very high level. I believe you're highlighting, but it would take a lot longer than or at the bigger level to do all that stuff. So I think what you just said, it is incredible, and I hope a lot of people should be thinking that way to transfer the knowledge to the next generation, or not even next generation. I don't want to call, like you said, it's not about being serious, it's about being experienced. So you want to give to the next person, because what at the end of the day, everybody's trying to do something good for the city. And if they have the right knowledge, they try to understand what it needs to do your job, they will be doing a good job being a council member. So thank you so much for highlighting on that part. So I would like Gritej to keep us moving to the next topic of our discussion. So Gritej, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Veronica. It needs a heart and it needs a vision to transfer the information, transfer the knowledge. We sincerely appreciate you for that. So, back in 2014, you decided to start a journey as a councilwoman. Before that, you were involved in multiple aspects in multiple committees across the San Joaquin County. So I would request you to share with us what made you run at that point of time, and what personally being a councilwoman means to you, and what kinds of day-to-day challenges you faced during this role.
Oh Lord, Gritej, that's too many questions.
So, man, I have to say, for me, probably was a natural progression. As a young mom, you volunteer in schools, and maybe you volunteer in the boosters. I was a booster mom through the high school. I was very involved in all my children's high school years, and then as I went off to college, I got involved within the community. I serve as a Measure E oversight commissioner. I serve in the planning commission. I was passionate about sidewalks and connectivity, and I got involved mainly because it was a disconnection on sidewalks, and I had at that time Luciana, who is my youngest, and I was trying to walk and lose the baby weight, and we could not get to with a stroller to the the shopping centers. So that got me even more excited to participate within the community. So I guess it just moved along progressively to where I am right now. I was the chairwoman of the planning commissioner and very active with the community. For me personally, also, I'm a natural citizen of this beautiful country, and it was a way to give back to this place that I call home. I love Tracy. I've been here since 1998, and I feel very blessed. And because I came from very, very humble beginnings, I felt that with the skill set that I have, it was a good fit for me to be a council member to help my community be progressive, be able to thrive, and to have a better future for our next generations. I'm not planning on going anywhere, and we raise a family here, and we're hoping that our children eventually will come back to Tracy, and they see what we feel is a beautiful place to raise a family.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Much appreciate you for having a transition. Whatever you learn, so that's what you're mentioning. One has to pass on. One has to share the information that they gathered. That information should not be staying with them. In some ways, that has to be transitioned in whatever capacity one can do. So now, what kinds of challenges do you think you faced during these years that you were part of this organization, this esteemed city council?
If I hear you correctly, you're asking me how I balance family and work and all that stuff. I'm sorry, it was breaking up.
Yeah, no, just what kind of challenges that you did face as being a councilwoman?
The challenges that I face as a councilwoman. Well, one is balancing it all, balancing home, work, family, you know, activities, friends, you kind of disappear for a little while, especially of your friend's life. It kind of the first thing that hits. And so I've been lucky. I had extremely a good support system from families and friends. And it's not easy, but I think that when it's a will to serve and the desire is there, you can accomplish to do a good job as a public servant. And with the help of your family and the children pitch in, I have to tell you, they all become more aware of mommy's and daddy's responsibilities. And not also that, but I tend to bring them along so they learn and they see they are exposed to something that is very unique. And for most part, I have to say, their eyes are open. They see the world for a little bit bigger, and they have a little bit more of sense of responsibility. And they teach their peers. I have more than once in second and third grade heard my little one explain how Valley Link work. What is the train and why we need a train here as a 9 8 year old relating that information to another 8 and 9 years old kids. And it's just fascinating to hear. So I feel even though it's challenging to balance and sometimes all of it, those are the challenges I experience. The family, they get exposed to something that otherwise, if I wasn't doing this, they would have never get exposed. And so it's passing a little bit more of that sense of belonging to your community, of the patriotism, and instilling those values. That it's not just your family, but it's your community as an overall that you're trying to just be engaged with.
No, thank you, Veronica. I think, like you said, the challenges are basically balancing your work life, your family, and if anybody's watching and people know how long our council meetings go, they go over 12 a.m. in the nighttime. They start at 7, so it's tough. And it's just not only that you're going and sitting there. You need to read what you are working with. You need to know why are you voting on something, yes or no,
Right.
and where you need to take a stand and where you need to pick your battle. And it takes a lot of analytical skill set to read that and understand and make your assessment on that. So it is a tough thing overall, working, being a mom, being a councilwoman. So hats off to you for doing all that, and you are setting an example for a lot of women too. That this is if this is something they need to try if they are interested in. And like you said, before you start going to earn votes from the people, you need to have a supporting system in your family, and which you highlighted. You have such a caring family and a friend circle that supports you, and that is very important to progress in life in any sector. So we are very glad and so honored to hear that you're sharing all your personal life, these experiences with us. And
it's a team effort. It's a team effort to tell you the truth. You don't do this alone. Yes. And I will be a disservice and a complete lie to say that you're doing this by yourself. Right. Your family have to be fully 100% in it with you. So it's very important to have that support system.
Correct.
Yeah, no, one thing I want to stress upon and acknowledge you that you mentioned that small kids, they got the awareness from you. So even the second grader, he was involved, he was aware what's happening around. So in our day-to-day activities, so we meet so many people who are not aware of the system. At such an early age, if they are aware of the system, see how much change, how much value they can add growing up. So thank you very much. Appreciate you sharing us with that. So now I'll take it back to Raj.
So we cover so far. Thank you. Yeah, we covered so far a lot of good part of our discussion. So like our today's discussions, that we named the show "Being a Council Member." So what would you suggest to anyone that's new coming to this arena? as an educational background or some sort of a governmental experience do they need? What do you see as a quality wise being a good council member?
So I will suggest first that anybody who's looking to enter this line of service is to attend a council meeting, hearing, looking at, watch the videos, volunteer and serve within the city as a commissioner, as a nonprofit. Get to know your community. Talk to the existing council members, commissioners. Reach out to the people that already are involved in community service. I said absolutely, in anywhere, all the time, always pursue more education. Learn as much as you can. Read everything that you get your hands on. Be inquisitive. Be curious. It's really, we all have a way of thinking, but I think that we are better when you're curious about what your partner next door is thinking, and sometimes it's different than what you're thinking. I will encourage that person to be curious, to know why your neighbor is disagreeing or having a different perspective or point of view. Educate yourself on the whys and see how you can get to a win-win situation when you're coming to put things together and people together. Council members have only a responsibility. The responsibility, and most people don't know this, but we don't manage 495 or 475 people in our city. That's how many employees we have. We only manage 2 people, and those 2 folks are the city attorney and the city manager. And as a council, we give direction to those 2 folks to implement our visions and our plans and our policies. And then we have to back up and let those folks do their job and implement what we are putting and giving policies and direction. So a lot of folks don't know that, and they think that we can just go and negotiate new tax agreements with the county, right? Or which we can give direction to our city attorney and city manager to go and negotiate those things, which they do. We can give directions to say, okay, we have this area of the city that we want to develop. We want to make a study. So we give directions for people. They do this for a living. They're the professionals. They're the people with all those little adjectives, the little marks behind the last name, PhDs and doctorate and things like that. They really come to us and present the ideas based on the suggestions that we give, and then we tweak them and we implement, and we give it back to the public. Council members have to give the opportunity to the public to agree or disagree. And so that's sometimes why we go out there for ballots. And we say, okay, I have this idea, this vision, and you have to pass it along to your constituents to see if that's what they want. And we have to be able to hear, not get offended, group together, and if the constituents and the residents want a new direction, we should implement new direction. But I think that is one of the major, abilities. You have to be agile. You have to be able to take the no and the yeses, and it's not about yourself. It's about you giving and being open to ideas and to how better serve your community. And I think the better way to serve is about, again, learning, educating yourself, never stop reading, never stop being inquisitive, and collaborate with your partners. And that dais is very important.
Well, I think that you said it very well. You need to collaborate. It's just not a one person's job to implement all your vision and policies, even though you're representing the residents of your city. But other 4 folks are sitting on to do the same. So you need to work with them in order to have shared values that can benefit overall. It's just not one person's vision, it's everybody all together, because like you said, your neighbor might be thinking something different, but you need to go and ask questions. And if they have less information, or they might have a misinformation given to them, you need to work with them. And sometimes it doesn't work, like you said, you should be open-minded to take no. If the other person is not agreeing, that's okay to move forward. End of the day, you are there for the public, you are there to do serve the residents of your town. So that is what you are doing. So thank you so much, Veronica, highlighting, sharing all these insights to help us understand. And I'm sure a lot of folks that would be watching, are watching, or will be watching in the future will take some benefits out of this discussion. And Gurtej, back to you. I know you have.
I wanted to add, if I may, one thing that's very, very important that we cannot. We need to really focus, and I learned this through being seated in that chair, is really one person by themselves can do it all, can do anything actually. That you must have collaboration from your peers in order to move things along the way. And sometimes, even though that you want one thing that we all want, it can be different views to it. So sometimes it's molding that one thing so all 5 people can have their input and to just put a good product out there. So like you said, is mainly really knowing your neighbor and being willing to always work with your neighbor to end up in a win-win situation, hopefully to the betterment of the community.
No, most definitely. Thank you, Veronica.
No, thank you very much, Veronica. It was very informational for us, for our voters, and for the council members. As you mentioned, anybody can step in to be a council member, but they have to be part of the society. They have to volunteer in multiple aspects to understand what they are getting into. And that is a value addition for them to lead this role as a leader, as a collaborator. Now, as the city is moving in a different era now with respect to COVID, so I would request you to share where we are with respect to COVID and what future do you think our city would have. And an additional question in that is about the hospitals too. So as Tracy and the Mountain House, these cities are facing this issue. In this COVID era, we have less hospital capacity. So what are your thoughts on that also?
So as a growing city, we need to have a fully functional and fully staffed hospital. It's one of the uh, greatest challenges that we have right now is to make sure that, as a council member, we are kind of changing a little bit direction and focusing a little bit more about how we can just work together with the hospital. And I think on the next 2 years, on the next part of my tenure as a council member, I will be focusing more and working to make sure that we have a fully staffed, a fully functional hospital. We need to just figure it out how to bring what we have and to the next level. In the past, there were conversations from Sutter to just do the second hospital by Lammers Road, and I think we need to engage on that conversation again. And it's very important, especially when Tracy is growing, but we have Mountain House growing, and a hospital that can serve both communities and perhaps Lathrop as well. So Sutter has, purchased our little community hospital a few decades back, and they have done a good job. But they need to just continue to invest in this community because we keep growing. And like you said, it's not just only Tracy. We have our neighboring communities that will benefit from a second hospital that it has full service and the ability to just, have more beds for our growing and aging community as well. So I think we heard a lot of that is a need that we need to just focus more on it. So I will be working and paying more attention to that in the next 2 years as I complete my tenure as a council member.
Right. No, thank you very much, Veronica, for sharing this with us. Yeah, you have a vision in this where the city is and where you see the city in future. So now take it back to Raj.
You done with your questions, Kriteja? I thought you have a list of in one question, two, three more.
Yeah.
All right. I will keep it simple, Veronica. So the next one is like we talked about healthcare. That's a public safety concern that we have such a growing town population in our, which is a very good thing for our town. Because a lot of people are making a hometown. That's really great. That means our town is really good to have make this your hometown, help your families to be here, and for the little kids, right, to grow them in the city in the safe environment. So talking from that perspective, what do you think where the city is now with the respect to public safety, and what direction do you see for the future? And I'm making it very generic to kind of see your view on this.
So sorry, it breaking up a little bit. So okay. One thing I want to put it out there, the first and foremost thing that I want people to know, City Council and our policymakers, we will not defund police. That is not anything even remotely a thought. As council members, we have make inquiries to make sure how to improve and upgrade and maybe provide more funds to our police department and public safety in general. So our growing population, our growing city has some demands, but we have great people that our police chief is amazing, very proactive, forward thinking, very quiet, but that mind, you can tell those eyes are moving, and he's thinking, and he puts policies and give advice to us, and he shares information with that. So I feel that our police department is extremely proactive in keeping up with the needs and the demands of our community. And I don't think that will stop, that will slow down. I think as overall, all of us are very committed to keep Tracy safe and to keep our community, that town that we all fall in love with, that we feel safe and comfortable in our areas, in our homes, in our park, as we shop, as we park our cars and we go to dinners. So I have to say, they're doing a great job, and we will continue to strive to do better and to, always grow with the needs of our community.
Thank you, Veronica, and thank you so much for giving your point of view on the public safety side. Before I end this, I wanted to actually thank to your family, because personally, I know your husband and your son, they are serving in the fire department. So in the California, we had the biggest fire where they both putting their lives on the risk and saving millions of people and serving us. So thank you so much, and God bless them.
Thank you for acknowledging them. I had to share that my husband has been gone. He's been back a couple times for a 24-hour, 48-hour period, but he is out there in the mountains helping the communities of up north. And my son has been in several different deployments in Napa Valley, and just yesterday he got deployed to the dog fire Plumas Park. So I want to thank to all those friends and families that are keeping my husband and my son in their prayers. I'm very proud of them, but as a mom And as a wife, it's kind of scary to know what they're putting and going through. But I know they're doing it from their heart, and they will not have it any other way. They are doing what they love. So support system, right?
Yes, yes. No,
Thank
God
you.
bless them. So
Yeah, we always pray for them. We all are safe sitting in our houses just because of them and because of so many agencies, so many firefighters who are there for us, for our city, for our citizens to be safe. So thank you to them all. So moving along, so you are a strong proponent of transportation. So from transportation perspective, as our city is growing, our adjacent cities are growing at a very rapid pace. Where do you think from transportation aspect we are at this point, and how do you see the future?
Well, I can probably speak about the subject all day long, all week long. um, Most people they know, even though it's not my background professionally, not my skill set, that transportation is near and dear to my heart, and I'm an advocate of transportation. You all know, and most of the people know me as the face on Valley Link, and I do appreciate that, but I'm not doing that alone. I'm lucky that I'm able to spearhead those things. Commuter rail is important, but as well, I have been working on airport and bike trails and transit connectivity, and allowing the students to just use our transportations while they're in school and not have to pay for that. Transportation for me is one of the biggest spoke in a wheel when it's speaking to the prosperity and economic growth of our town. Historically speaking, rail made townships become cities, and cities become metropolitan areas. And of course, that happens because with that connectivity, you have the job creation, the universities and educational options that comes with a city and a metropole and an area that you have a congregation of people. And with that comes businesses and opportunities presents themselves to create a better connectivity for people to have better jobs, local jobs, education components, and of course the housing component. All that works together. So I see transportation as the hub that put a lot of different industries and opportunities together. And I speak with that with passion and knowledge, because I grew up in a third world country, very, very poor. And if it wasn't for the public buses, me and my brothers and sisters would not have been able to go to school. So school is free in Argentina, but the public transportation is not. And so when you grew up in a family with a lot of kids, and your parents have to choose how they give you the money, who goes to get you school. It's important that to utilize that bus ticket the right way and be the best you can be. So I think that I have seen what public transportation can make or not make a town, and how a town can thrive if you have the ability to connect people to jobs and housing. And for me, it's a passion, and I feel very strongly about creating those opportunities for our folks, and and how that grows from there.
No, thank you
And
very
I
much.
can tell you, I feel like we only have so much time.
Right. No, no, thank you. You touched the key points. Transportation, that is the key point that is tied to education, that is tied to growth of the city, that is tied to the jobs and all the aspects of everyday's life, they are tied to transportation. And you have the personal touch to the transportation. You have faced those issues firsthand, and you don't want them to be faced by our next generation or ourselves also. So doing your part and educating us how transportation is important for us. So thank you very much for touching this. So now I'll take it back to Raj.
Thank you, Gutej. I believe we have a technical issue on Veronica's side. Veronica, I'm not sure if you're able to hear me, but your screen is frozen. Oh, it's back. It's back. I can see you moving now. All right, like no, that's a wonder. I think you said it very well on the transportation side. Like it said, I don't want to make a repetitive statement again, but everything is interconnected. So our my two other questions were related to jobs and education, and how to make a more this town more affordable in respect of cost of living, because the cost of living can go up when you have more jobs here. More jobs are going to come if you have a better connectivity with other towns, so people can come here, live here. More jobs can the I'm losing the word. Companies can come and invest and open their facilities here, so they can hire people here. They can make money, and then you live here. But if you don't have that connectivity, everything gets very challenging to bring here. You talk about educational institutions. CSU is not here, or Cal Poly is not here, even though we're such a rapidly growing towns in our county. Talking about Mountain House to Tracy to Lathrop, River Island, and even Manteca. There's so many houses are getting built. So many people are moving here. So we need to look into that. And we're glad you are I think I can say this. You are being futuristic on this part, how to close these gaps that we're facing right now. And that's the truth. So thank you so much on sharing your evening with us and giving us so much insight and knowledge, and which definitely gonna help us and a lot of other folks as well. And we are really appreciate. And at the last, I also wanted to highlight that Veronica she's very well like making good relationship with different communities. And I know for a fact I'm from a Sikh community. She has so many great people, friends, that I got connected with her through them. And if I start naming them, there will be a long list. So we just kind of keep it short and sweet. That she has a good people, good friends in different communities, and she knows how to work with them, and she listens and stand out for their issues. So we're very honored and happy to be here with you today.
It's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure. And I want to attempt to answer those last two questions that you had.
Sure, go ahead.
The cost of living and the education, because I'm passionate. So I want to try to, the first one, I want to say, I did have this vision, this idea, and it wasn't unique to mine. I think other people had it, and I just been the lucky person that God put in place to see how can I make this work. In the past, previous people, they questioned my sanity about this decision of making this Valley Link, this transportation connectivity to the Bay Area. And I wanted to make sure that it was an easy, cost-effective way to connect the workforce to the jobs. That was very important. It was seamlessly transfers between one one system and the other. So that was very important. And the way we've been working and creating Valley Link, supporting also ACE, because that's very important. ACE is, how everything started, and then seeing this connectivity over there between the possibility and opportunities that we had. So not to discount anything that we have, because I think every one of those spokes are important. Is not a single solution, one item that will solve all our problems. This is a lot of it. Multiple little ideas, multiple little opportunities that will help us alleviate the traffic, create the jobs, and create more affordable housings for our area. So supporting ACE, creating Valley Link, championing for what the Council of Governments has been very important, because we also are working into adding an additional lane on the 205, having a HOV lane coming on the frontage of the 205. Fixing our commute is helping people. with an awful commute, with a terrible life quality of life that right now they're experiencing. So this creates another opportunity to have reverse commuters come to our Tracy, creating opportunities to bring jobs to Tracy. The entrepreneurials, the startups that are being priced out of the Bay Area. And here, Mount House, Tracy, Lathrop, Manteca, Stockton are a hope, an opportunity for all those new businesses, entrepreneur business to just call this home and bring new jobs into our town, giving Tracy and the around areas around Tracy the opportunity to be a hub of new jobs. No different than when Pleasanton and Dublin did in the 1980s and 1990s when they decided to bring BART to their community. And look what happened. Now they're, by their own, a hub of jobs creation. So I think we need to do that. And I wanted to do it with our city and our city planners taking the leader role. So we don't play fiddle to developers. We want to create the township in the downtown the way that our citizens want to, preserving the character, not allowing gentrification, making sure that we put our plan on infrastructure ahead of it. So, and the council and the city did that by creating and allowing staff to create a transit-oriented development planning. So we have the basics of the planning. We're going out to the voters to see if this is the idea or that's what they want. Otherwise, it's okay. The train will continue to pass to Tracy. That we are stopping in Mountain House, and that is it's coming, and the operations and maintenance facility is also coming, and I'm very happy about that. And then we will decide here in Tracy if the citizens want to have a stop in Tracy or not. But that stop in Tracy comes from policy from the Valley Link board that they have decided that as an average, the corridor through the 7 stations that we are creating, they have to have a minimum of 2,200 units. So that will figure out how the units, the living units, which is not the back and bones of the transit hub. The back and bone in the infrastructure project is the Valley Link. It's the infrastructure that comes with the Valley Link, the parking, the structure, the roadways, the train itself. And it's projected in downtown Tracy to have 1,100 riders the day that train opens. So creating those opportunities over there is huge. But when it comes to education, this is why I think that this is also an opportunity for our town. Education, it should be the forefront of our thoughts when it comes. If we want those jobs, we have to make sure that our workforce is educated, and not just only on the 4-year degrees. We have to have vocational schools. We have to prepare our workforce for the next era. And how do we do that if we're disconnected, if they cannot get to that college or that vocational school? Because a third car with a third insurance and the gas is prohibitive to a lot of people that live in our area. So mass transportation will facilitate for our children and our next generation to be able to have other fingertips. Every college in the Bay Area, multiple ones, from junior college to San Francisco State or San Jose State or Delta College. They can have that reverse commute. So for me, I think to advance and to be able to be able to provide a thriving community, we must facilitate the education component to our next generation, which are our children and grandchildren. So again, it's one component that I feel very passionate. It touches all aspects of life and all aspects of our community as we move forward and as we grow as a city. We keep having babies, so we need to figure out where to house those children and where to house those grandchildren, and not only that, but provide not essentials, but to the ability for them to thrive as citizens of this beautiful country of ours.
Right.
So hopefully I probably digress, but it's something that is passionate, is a passion of mine.
No, you did not, and this discussion is about knowing being a council member. So that is what you were doing here. So that's wonderful. So we're glad. I think with it, you have something to say. Please go ahead. You're holding your thought. I can see on your face.
Yeah, no, you mentioned you're not doing it for the current citizens, you're doing it for our future generation too. So the newborn babies. So development is inevitable, nobody can stop it, but there can be certain planning to keep the hometown feel or the small town feel of Tracy and bring in those kinds of plans and infrastructures. Still one of the thing I cannot take out of my head is the second grader. He knows about the valley link. He went to his school. He gave a presentation. Many of our citizens, including me, we are not well aware of these valley link ideas. What Measure Y is, where the train stop would be. So I think that would be a next topic. So we should work on it to inform our voters what Valley Link is, where we are with respect to transportation. Citizens should be deciding factor, but at least they should have the information. So we encourage everyone to please read, reach out to your council members. That's Veronica Vargas. She is a facilitator. She works with different communities, different aspects, and always open to mentor, guide, answer any kind of questions. And you can always reach out to us for any kind of question. We'll be more than happy to forward to the councilwoman so that your questions gets answered. Please be engaged, be involved in your community, be involved in your city for a better tomorrow. So before we end, so I'll request Veronica Vargas. So any other thing, if we did miss in our conversation, if she wants to bring anything that's in her mind.
Um, no, I think we cover most of the topics. I am deeply touched that you guys invited me to participate in this platform. I am, looking things and the not the rearview mirror, but to the hope of passing knowledge and helping all of you youngsters and all the people they want to serve. So I am here as a resource. If anybody wants to reach out, my email is posted on the city website. I do reply. I do get back to people. And if anybody, if I could be of assistance to anybody wanting to get engaged in community service or a citizen in general, please reach out. It may take me a few days, but I do get back to people. And thank you guys for allowing me to be here today.
No, it's our honor, Veronica. So we're very glad that you actually gave us your time. So thank you so much. And like she said, she does reply. And don't forget, she's a full-time mom. She's a wife, and she works as well. And she's a public servant as well. So she's taking care of all of things. So it may take her a day or two to get back to you, but she does. So thank you so much, Veronica, being with us this evening and sharing such a wonderful thoughts and your vision and educating a lot of Tracy residents on different topics. And we hope we stay in touch. And like you said, if there would be any question that we need to clarify, we'll reach out to you. Or if we do receive any other question from the Tracy citizens, we will make sure we become a facilitator for them to connect with you, and then they can get their questions answered. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gurtej, for being with me on this platform tonight as well. It's very pleasure to all of us being here today. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful time. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.